Hello everyone, what's up? Welcome to the GMB channel. Hope you will enjoy our video. Before we begins, hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Here is the news title. Rachel Reeves stutters as she's asked one simple question about her expenses. The Chancellor struggled to answer one simple question about her expenses as she broke her silence following the BBC investigation. Rachel Reeves insisted she was never questioned about her expenses, as questions continued to swirl about her banking career before entering politics. The Chancellor attempted to defend herself from allegations she was probed about the misuse of expenses while working at Halifax Bank in the 2000s. A bombshell BBC exposé, published yesterday, revealed that a whistleblower reported Ms. Reeves to bosses accusing her of spending hundreds of pounds on handbags, perfume, earrings, and wine. The internal audit team found evidence of wrongdoing by Ms. Reeves and her two colleagues, it is claimed, before passing the findings to the risk department in April 2009. However, the next interview stage did not take place, nor is there evidence it reached a conclusion. In a stuttering performance, the Chancellor insisted she was never questioned over her expenses while working at HBOS. In her first comments, the under-fire minister insisted, "No one ever raised any concerns about my expenses when I worked for Halifax Bank of Scotland. I submitted, had processed, and had my expenses signed off in the proper way as you would expect, and no issues were ever raised during my time at HBOS." She stumbled when asked how she wasn't aware of an investigation going on into her, while many of her colleagues did. The BBC discovered comments in a Facebook group for former employees of Halifax, which alluded to an issue about her expenses. Ms. Reeves insisted, "I don't know what they are saying, and of course none of them have gone on the record. These concerns were never raised with me during the time I worked at HBOS, and I'm really proud of the work I did both as an economist at the Bank of England and later for Halifax Bank of Scotland." The Chancellor also dodged questions about why she had been forced to make yet another change to her CV after she admitted to exaggerating the time spent working for the Bank of England. Despite repeatedly claiming to have spent nearly 10 years working at Threadneedle Street, she now admits to spending less than 6 years there, working as an analyst. Treasury sources insisted the latest error was an administrative mistake by a member of her team. It's the second major amendment to her LinkedIn profile since becoming Chancellor, after she was caught exaggerating her role at HBOS. Questioned about the latest inaccuracy, Ms. Reeves argued voters will judge me on the job I'm doing now as Chancellor of the Exchequer to grow the economy and put more money in the pockets of working people. Responding to her interview, Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride said, "There are very serious questions for the Chancellor, and she has now repeatedly failed to answer them. From false claims on her CV to plagiarism and allegations of expenses misconduct, Rachel Reeves must now provide a full and honest account. Not doing so will undermine the very trust that Keir Starmer has pledged to restore." Labour also launched a bitter feud with the BBC this morning, who published the claims earlier this week, accusing the public broadcaster of publishing totally inaccurate allegations. Science and Technology Secretary Peter Kyle blasted the BBC, telling Radio 4, "Unfortunately, the reporting has been totally inaccurate, and we heard yesterday that the person who was actually head of HR at that bank at that time says it's untrue, said that she never ever received a file on Rachel Reeves. And she says that before she left the bank, there was no investigation that passed her desk, and she's also said if there was one, it would have passed her desk. I didn't see any of that reporting included in the story I read yesterday evening on the BBC website." Ironically, the senior minister was wrong to claim there had been no investigation, as the HBOS internal audit team did conduct a probe following the original whistleblowing complaint in 2009. However, the subsequent interview stages of the investigation process did not progress, and no conclusion was reached before Ms. Reeves left the company in May that year. On Thursday, her team insisted she left on good terms, with a severance payment, including full notice pay
Rachel
and a
Reeves
bonus. Faces. Scrutiny over expenses. Allegations. A detailed analysis. Introduction: Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, recently found herself at the center of a political storm following a BBC investigation that questioned her past expenses during her tenure at Halifax Bank of Scotland, HBOS, in the 2000s. The exposé alleged that Reeves, along with 2 colleagues, was flagged by an internal audit team for questionable spending practices, including purchases of handbags, perfume, earrings, and wine. These revelations have reignited debates about political integrity, transparency, and the veracity of Reeves' claims regarding her past work experience. As questions mounted, Reeves addressed the media, insisting she was never personally questioned about her expenses. However, her stumbling response and subsequent inconsistencies have fueled further speculation. This article delves into the details of the scandal, the reactions from political figures, and the broader implications for the Labour Party. The allegations against Reeves. The BBC report unearthed claims from a whistleblower who alleged that Reeves' expense claims at HBOS were scrutinized in 2009. The bank's internal audit team reportedly discovered evidence of improper spending and escalated their findings to the risk department. However, the process never reached a formal conclusion, as Reeves left HBOS in May 2009. While Reeves maintained she was unaware of any investigation, the BBC report cited discussions in a Facebook group of former HBOS employees, which indicated that concerns about her expenses were widely known within the bank. Despite these claims, no official records confirm that Reeves was formally interviewed or disciplined over the matter. Reeves' stuttering response in her first public comments. Following the BBC report, Reeves appeared visibly uncomfortable as she attempted to dismiss the allegations. She stated, "No one ever raised any concerns about my expenses when I worked for Halifax Bank of Scotland. I submitted, had processed, and had my expenses signed off in the proper way as you would expect, and no issues were ever raised during my time at HBOS." However, when pressed on how she could have been unaware of an investigation that her colleagues knew about, Reeves faltered, appearing unprepared to offer a concrete response. This lack of clarity only fueled further speculation, with critics arguing that her response lacked credibility. The CV controversy. Beyond the expenses scandal, Reeves has also been embroiled in controversy over her professional credentials. For years, she claimed to have spent nearly a decade working at the Bank of England, but recent revelations indicate her tenure was closer to 6 years. Additionally, her role at HBOS has been called into question, with discrepancies emerging in her LinkedIn profile regarding the extent of her responsibilities. Treasury sources have dismissed these inconsistencies as administrative errors made by her team. However, critics argue that repeated inaccuracies raise serious questions about her credibility and transparency. Political fallout shadow Chancellor Mel Stride was quick to pounce on the controversy, stating, "There are very serious questions for the Chancellor, and she has now repeatedly failed to answer them. From false claims on her CV to plagiarism and allegations of expenses misconduct, Rachel Reeves must now provide a full and honest account. Not doing so will undermine the very trust that Keir Starmer has pledged to restore." The Conservative Party has seized on the allegations, framing them as part of a broader pattern of dishonesty within Labour. With an election on the horizon, the opposition is likely to use this scandal to undermine public confidence in Reeves's financial integrity, and by extension, Starmer's leadership. Labour's defence and the BBC backlash. The Labour Party has pushed back strongly against the allegations, accusing the BBC of inaccurate reporting. Science and Technology Secretary Peter Kyle stated, "Unfortunately, the reporting has been totally inaccurate. The person who was actually head of HR at that bank at that time says it's untrue, that she never received a file on Rachel Reeves. And she also said that if there had been an investigation, it would have passed her desk." Kyle's defense attempts to cast doubt on the BBC's reporting, but his statement contained inaccuracies of its own. The BBC has stood by its investigation, noting that while the probe did not reach a formal conclusion, the internal audit team did investigate concerns regarding Reeves's expenses. broader implications. The controversy surrounding Reeves is significant for several reasons. Trust and transparency. Labor has positioned itself as the party of integrity, seeking to distance itself from past scandals. If Reeves fails to adequately address these allegations, it could undermine this narrative. Economic credibility. As Chancellor, Reeves is responsible for managing the economy. Any doubts about her past financial conduct could erode public trust in her ability to oversee the nation's finances. Media scrutiny. This incident highlights the role of investigative journalism in holding politicians accountable. The BBC's report has sparked debate about media responsibility and political bias. Electoral consequences. With the next general election looming, the Conservatives are likely to use this scandal to challenge Labour's claims of ethical leadership. Conclusion. Rachel Reeves' response to the expenses allegations has done little to quell speculation. Her insistence that she was never questioned, despite evidence suggesting otherwise, raises more questions than answers. Combined with previous controversies surrounding her CV, this scandal threatens to dent Labour's credibility at a critical time. As the political landscape heats up, Reeves must provide a more robust and transparent explanation to regain public trust. Otherwise, this controversy may continue to haunt both her career and Labour's broader electoral prospects. So what do you guys think about this update? Let me know in the comment below. If you like my video, please press like button and subscribe. For more, hope I'll see you in next video.